beast stalker, giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, grown stalker, grip stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner. I'm a bone elite skill hunter, a death dealer, a life stealer. That's just the cost of being awesome sauce.
All right. Well, welcome to episode 262 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
All right, today is Monday, July 24th, 2017, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv, where you can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Alisaunder, is there to take your questions. And probably going to be a short show today. We're not big on news. Delirium is out today. Roger's on a big raiding vacation. I'm sure he's just going to be sleeping for the next month or so after that slogfest that was the race for world first in the Tomb of Sargeras. And I don't know if they had completed it where they were. I tried to go back and look at the notes for episode 261. I don't know if they'd killed. I don't think they had killed it yet.
Yeah, they were 8 of 9. They were 8
of 9. Yeah. So congratulations to Roger and Method and all the folks there for their world first kill on Sargeras. Apparently one of the harder bosses that they've faced in, I don't know, the history of the game, perhaps, I guess. What do they have, like over 600 pulls on that, I think it was? 800, 600?
It was about 650.
650, something like that. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Although I believe they said that was in part because it wasn't very well tuned in the beginning. Had a lot of bugs and a lot of things that they just could not overcome.
Yeah.
And that I guess once they nerfed some of it, then they were able to kind of break through and get him down. But still, about a week ahead of anybody else, if I read that correctly.
I think it was a little more than a week. Yeah. Exorcist just killed it recently, and apparently they had 950 attempts.
Wow. I don't know that I've had, ever had 950 attempts on any boss in this game. I wonder if I've had like that many on all the bosses, like I've done combined kills at least. I don't know.
No, I think for me the most I've ever done on a single boss is maybe like 120 before it was killed. Mm-hmm. I think that was like Mythic Operator Thogar and Blackrock Foundry, I think. The train boss.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Fight. That was a fun fight. It was kind of hectic where you had to pay attention to where those trains were coming from, left, right, track 1, track 2. Oh, that was fun.
That was one of the best fights in that whole place.
Yeah, I really like that raid.
That was even hard to solo at 110. Like I went back and did it on 5 or yeah, and I died to it a couple times.
Speaking of dying, did you guys hear about the Demon Hunter that did was it a Mythic 17 solo?
Yeah. 17 Vault of the Wardens. And they also just did a 19 Court of Stars solo. Just
a hunter's crazy. A hunter, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, right? Still, I haven't paid too much attention. I don't know what types of content now should most people be able to solo pretty easily. Like where are we at with that? I wonder. I mean, are we going back? Is Warlord stuff now pretty easy to get through on your own if you're well geared? If you've been doing at least like say the heroic raids and over 900 plus now.
I think if you're basically capable of staying out of the stuff on the floor, that yeah, pretty much yes. And if you're that kind of person, you've probably already got, at least some Nightwell stuff going on. So yeah, you should be able to do it.
As for soloing current content, I think Shoot just recently got Ursoc on normal mode.
On normal?
Yeah. Which is pretty crazy. It's not exactly. That's a pretty recent boss.
That is it is a very recent boss, and I'm trying to think. I mean, there's no ads in that fight, but still, that one had a pretty tight DPS check. I mean, that was not, that wasn't hard per se, but it was enough going on, and you kind of had to get him down pretty quick, if I recall that fight. So that's good work on his part. Yeah, he's always done a great job of soloing a lot of this content. I always find it fun to see when he's able to do, current expansion stuff and not just going back, say one expansion, which is impressive on its own right. But when he's able to do stuff like that, that's pretty wild. I wonder what he thinks about like the legendary scenario. I guess that was probably. I wonder how hard that was for him.
Oh, it's probably easy for him.
I would think so. That he's just so used to doing this type of stuff that he probably didn't have too much of a challenge knocking that out. I need to go in and do that. I've yet to go attempt that. I was waiting till I was just gonna get a little bit better gear and just not struggle with it. So, but I'm at that point now where it shouldn't be too much of a problem with some of the drops I've been able to get.
Yeah, if you're interested in shoots, hunter soloing stuff, just go to huntersoloing.com and you can get all of his videos there.
About where do you guys sit on AP these days?
I don't know. I kind of stopped caring about it.
Well, I figure you've at least got the power unbound, and after that, it's a couple million.
Yeah.
Like I watched Navarre's stream, and he farms AP all day long because he's a Mythic Raider, and his levels are just in the billions. It's insane. So I figure, that's a little much, but somewhere on the scale, and it's such a big scale these days.
Yeah, I think my next trade is like 6 billion or something like that. I don't even know.
I don't know. I'm behind the curve there, although I have been tossing AP into my marksmanship artifact just to get concordance on that. It just feels a little bit more rewarding at this point. When you get the AP that I don't feel like 30 million AP, 100 million AP, actually feels like it's worth something with that spec. Whereas with Beast Mastery, it's just like I said, I hardly even pay attention to it at this point. It doesn't matter for the content that I'm doing whatsoever.
Well, it's worth at least getting the colors of your Wolfhawk mount.
Yes, there is that, and that's what I am trying to do. That's sort of what I'm tossing it in towards to do that.
Are there any other achievements you guys are working on for your artifact?
I don't know if there's any other achievements besides getting the 3 mounts.
Well, I mean, just like the different shapes and colors of the shapes and all that. Like there's the PvP one, then there's the hidden one, and if any of those are particularly on your list.
Yeah, there's not much on my list in particular. I've even transmogged out of the artifact appearance, every now and then. I don't necessarily stick with what the sort of default or even the various appearances for the artifact is. I'll usually transmog into one of the various other weapons that I've collected over the years.
Yeah, there's a recolor of the challenge appearance for if you kill Heroic, kill Jaden, so there's that.
In the Heroic challenge, which one is that?
The challenge appearance, like from the artifact challenge.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking like maybe one of those old dungeon challenges back where I was thinking maybe did they do something like they did with the. Did they have one for like Miss of Pandaria or something? There were some cool artifacts, or not artifacts, but weapons you could get from that. It's like, maybe they did a reskin there. That would be kind of neat. But I see what you're saying now. So no, I really haven't been chasing too much with the artifact weapon. Just trying to get relics to drop is more than anything else out of the Tomb of Sargeras, just to beef up the power of the weapon itself.
I actually got a 930 relic this week. Doesn't have an ideal trait, but it's still a pretty big upgrade.
Which one did you get?
It was the Iron Relic off of Avatar. So it's just like the aspect of the wild trait, but it was a significant eye level upgrade, so it was worth it.
Relics are my lowest thing as well. I don't know, everything else just seems so easy to get one way or another, but not the relics. Or maybe I'm just not lucky.
Do you drop nether shards in? Because those start at 880. They have a chance to Titan Forge.
Yeah, but that's if you're lucky.
That's
But
true.
yeah, I'm working on the gathering nether shards through the invasions, but just takes a little while. I'm a little invasioned out, so it's gonna take a little while longer.
But yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, you can get lucky. People do get lucky, so that's what I sort of do with my shards. I've been trying to see if I could get the belt to pop out of one of those. No luck there. We had like one of the folks in our raid group last week, get a legendary out of the Blingtron box. So it happens. I think you had that happen, Bet, once.
Yeah.
I've been getting my legendaries out of the emissary bags because from doing so many invasions, that's where they just seem to come from.
That's usually where I get mine, although I've yet to get anything. I mean, it's weird. I don't know how many I've got. I don't have a ton. I've got like 5 now, I think. I just got the ring last week.
Which one? The Huntmaster?
Yeah, the newer one. Gosh, which one was it?
Yeah, Soul of the Huntmaster.
That one. The one that gives you the free talent. That one.
Yeah, that one's really good for marksmanship and beast mastery too if you play the stomp build.
So that's what I've been trying to do, because I just think the ring is kind of cool, but when I plug it into different places, it's still, I still get recommended to stick with the shoulders and the legs, and it bugs me.
That's not surprising, yeah. Because actually, right now, one of my best legendaries that I wear for everything is Pride As. Which seems weird, but it's true. It's just the raw stats on 970 legendaries kind of changed up the whole game. It's like,
yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
But I like the ring. I like the idea of getting that free talent, and you just put in, what does it give you? It gives you Bestial Fury, and then you can just spec into whatever, like Call of the Wild, I guess, is the other good option for Beast Mastery on that tier, and it's just kind of nice having having both those. So.
Yeah.
But some of the sims and things suggest that I go stick with the shoulders and the legs, and I don't know if it's because I don't have good off pieces. That might be part of it too.
Well, it depends on your set bonuses. If you get to the point where you can use the tier 19 2-piece and the tier 24 piece, then the ring will probably be really good for you.
Yeah, and I'm not at that point yet. Right now, I'm at like 2 and 2, I believe was what's coming out a little bit okay for me. So I got two pieces of the heroic new tier, and then just sticking with 2 pieces of the old.
What are you using these days to plug, or what are you plugging your numbers into? I mean, are you going into SimCraft, or are you actually using
I haven't done much with the SimCraft. Sometimes I'll use I like Ask Mr. Robot. They're for some recommendations. So I'll go there from time to time.
I've wondered about the Ask Mr. Robot numbers. I don't know if they're right. Is that?
I don't know. We haven't talked to them in a while. I mean, they're always pretty good about claiming that their stuff's, which I don't blame them, that they're kind of spot on. I don't know how much manual adjustment I should be doing to tweak some things, perhaps with some of the stat weights and things like that. But I think they're usually pretty good. I know Delirium has helped them out in the past. To try and debug and some troubleshoot some stuff. So he's gotten his, footprint on there before too. So yeah, I think they're pretty good.
Okay, maybe I'll give it another try. Maybe I just disagree with some of the things, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong.
I mean, I don't like all their recommendations. So like for me, there's just other things. I just have other pieces of gear that I just like better. For the way they function and the way they work, and it's just like, oh, really?
Well, I guess it's there's a lot more trinkets with text on them nowadays, and it's hard to.
Well, trinkets too, and I have a lot of them are roughly the same eye level, so it's not even like I'm having a big disparity there. But it just I have the engine trinket, which does the orbs, which is kind of neat. Though sometimes those orbs do pop at inopportune moments during.
Yeah, like. I wouldn't use that trinket on. It's funny. I wouldn't use that trinket on the boss that drops it, because every time I try that, the orbs would drop as soon as I have to run away to the other side of the room. It's the Maiden of Vigilance fight.
Right. That's the one with the orbs itself that you have to, where you get the light and the fell, and it's that little bit like, well, Delirium calls it the Guitar Hero boss, the one that has that sort of Thaddeus, reminiscent of the Thaddeus fight, right? But exactly, it's things like that where all of a sudden they'll drop and you've got to go someplace else and move out of the way. I've tried it on like Kill Jaden and had to go stand in an Armageddon pool. And
you have a bit of time to go back and get them, but I have a really good weak aura that I found on that weak aura site. It gives you like a timer when the orbs are going to disappear, and it tells you how many orbs you still have to collect. If you just go to that site, it's called wag.io, I think, the website, and just search for Engine of Eradication. I think it's the most popular one on there.
Yeah, I'll go check that out. And what else do I have? I have I think it's a normal version of the owl trinket, and then the first one that I got was the one that, as long as your health is in like 80%, you get that agility buff, and that's the one that it seems to want me to use mostly.
Right, that one sims very well, but if you're in fights where your health drops,
yeah, you're gonna lose out.
Yeah, I don't really like that trinket.
So
yeah, as for another simulation option, what's really popular nowadays is it's another web-based one. It's called raidbots.com. And basically it runs simulation craft on the website for you, so you don't have to install it and set it up. And you just import your character, and it's pretty simple, like Ask Mr. Robot. It lets you compare relics and all that stuff, talents, gives you stat weights.
Yeah, I might give that a try because I need something that's a little bit better. I mean, the Ask Mr. Robot's nice because it's got the best in bags. I use the add-on so I can just, it can kind of compare everything that I'm got in my bank, in my bags that I'm wearing and so forth, and kind of pick and choose what I should do. And it's pretty good at it. And although a lot of the times it's, it tells you what you kind of already know as well. I mean, some of it's common sense. It's just really around some of the trinkets and things like that, and even some legendary pairings as well can make a difference. But
here's a question for you: unstable Arcano Crystal. What? I've heard a lot of controversy over it, whether it's still valuable at 860 or even an 881. Where is the line that?
It depends on like your other trinkets and everything, but it's still valuable, even at 860. Like, it's maybe slightly behind the best heroic tomb trinkets, but not very far.
Okay, that's frustrating to hear because like I have an 880 and then my eye level is pretty far down because of it. So that sounds like I'm never gonna be able to get rid of it.
Yeah, the 880 for sure is probably, I mean, it's going to be good. It's so reliable too. It's you don't have to worry about procs or using the on use at the precise time. It's just lots of stats.
Seems like every expansion that happens, there's like one trinket that just sort of stands out above the rest, and it usually, you find it early on in the expansion, and it just lasts the whole. Last through the whole thing from every patch.
Used to be the inscription trinkets.
Right, the Darkmoon trinkets used to always be really good, going back to Wrath of the Lich King, I believe. I mean, that the one that you got from there right at the beginning of the expansion just almost lasted into, maybe, I think it did. I don't know if it made it to Icecrown Citadel, but it was pretty close.
I think they purposely nerfed it at Icecrown, if I remember correctly, because it was the best stat, got a certain amount in your best stat. And rock.
Yeah. Wasn't that one that you accidentally sold that one time something Lament? Wasn't that?
Yeah, that was Death. Yeah, Deathbringer's Will was. Well, that was a really fun trinket, if nothing else. That was a great trinket.
DBW. Oh.
You know what? When they at some point they're gonna do like a time walking raid for Wrath. And if it's ICC, I want to get that trinket again.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, I didn't. Did you do the time walking for
Yeah.
the most recent one they did? I didn't get a chance to do that, but that sounded like it was. How was it hard, or how was it? Was it tuned pretty well, or?
It was simple. It was easy. It was a guild group though, but
Mhm.
the only one that was somewhat tough was Illidan.
Yeah, we went through and we my rating group, and we more or less kind of one or two shot everything except for Illidan, and I think one other that I don't know. We were just kind of fooling around with, I guess. But yeah, it was good. It was a good time. A lot of trash, but you know that's Black Temple.
That's the one thing I like about the Tomb of Sargeras is the trash. Well, the trash can be a pain. What is there, but there's not like tons and tons of it. It's nice that way.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's see. We do have a little bit of news. One of the things I wanted to mention because although Foxy's rating this evening, she wanted us to mention the 2017 fourth annual WHU Hunter Meetup that's going to happen at BlizzCon. And we'll put a link. I guess we can put a link in the chat room. We'll put a link in the show notes too. So they do have the GoFundMe site up there where you can contribute and help support the cause. And trying to see the details on this, if she's got the time or any details on the meetup. I don't believe they've solidified that. It's certainly not on the GoFundMe site, but yeah, be sure and check that out. Like I said, I'll put a link into the show notes that you guys can see on the main site, YouTube site, and everywhere else. So, and then check out the WHU Facebook page, and you can get the information there as well. But they are planning to do the fourth annual WHU Hunter Meetup this year at BlizzCon, which should be fun. And then also we have in here something about the Mythic Dungeon Invitational, and this was right on the heels. Remember we talked about last show how they stopped doing like those bringing in the guilds like the Methods and so forth to do the raid.
Yeah.
At BlizzCon, and now they just sort of announced this Mythic Dungeon Invitational.
I am really looking forward to that because I love the raids. It's not quite the same, but I figure it'll be close enough. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
it looks pretty neat.
I mean, we were talking about on a different thing. We were talking about games done fast or done quick, and speed running seems to be a thing to do nowadays. And this really it scratches that itch. It's stuff that you could do if you really tried, or at least you feel like you could do. But the coordination to get to what is it, top 32 from the world? That sounds insane. And but it's stuff that you can do. Like it's not rating. You need a group of 25, and some of the coordination there involved, and the logistics behind that is unobtainable. But 300 pulls. Yeah. But this this stuff you could do theoretically, and just that extra feeling of I've done this before. Now watch somebody who can really do it. See how good they or I do this the same way, or that's a really cool way that they're a little shortcut that they're doing, and it honestly could help your own Mythic Plus runs.
They kind of did it once before with the Helya before Legion started, I think, didn't they? Where they had the two teams running side by side, and then you could kind of see how they were doing against each other. I love that.
Yeah,
like I don't have enough like esports to watch at BlizzCon already.
It's what I think it needs. It's like you said, it's like accessible. Like you don't need a huge team or anything. You just need a few friends who are really into doing Mythic Dungeons. Like the entire competition is all done online, so you don't have to travel anywhere. There's no requirements or anything like that. So I don't know. I think that's pretty neat. There's like this unknown people can just join in here if they're really good, and $100,000 prize pool. There's gonna be a lot of people entering that.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be tons and tons of people, and like you said, it's just kind of open to almost anyone, I guess. So just looking at some of the details here, and they said they're We're looking for the best players in the world, but first you need to show us you have the right stuff to compete. It said teams aspiring to battle on the global stage must first push themselves through a gauntlet of mythic keystone dungeons, taking on increasingly difficult mythic keystones and earning the best scores on the proving grounds. And then it said top scoring contenders will be invited to join as one of 32 outstanding teams from around the world, competing for a share of the $100,000 prize pool and ultimately claiming bragging rights of the #1 spot. Once chosen, 8 teams from the Americas, 8 teams from Europe, 8 from China, and 8 from Asia Pacific will be tapped to face the challenge, proving they have what it takes to go all the way to the finals. And so I guess they're going to do the proving grounds from July 25th through August 8th, where the teams aiming to secure an invitation to the top 32 will be challenged to push their way through mythic keystone dungeons to achieve their best scores. At the end of the 2 weeks, they'll need to submit their top scores using, I guess they have an electronic form to do that. And I guess they'll have to master multiple dungeons, and they're going to be judging performance across the 5 dungeons, which teams achieves the highest keystone level during those 2 weeks. So it sounds pretty cool. And then they're going to take it down, right? And then in September, they're going to invite these contenders to compete in the Mythic Keystone Dungeon Invitational for their share of the prize pool. And each region's contenders will be part of a single-day broadcast in which they will face a series of elimination rounds until just 2 are left standing to represent their region on a global stage. And so what do they say? The rules of engagement. Keystone levels and affixes will be determined by Blizzard. The first match of each series will take place in a dungeon predetermined by Blizzard, and once the final 8 regional teams have been determined, they'll move on to the single elimination bracket where they'll go head-to-head. And, of course, this will all be broadcast. But I think this will be fun. Like I said, World of Warcraft PvE has not really been part of esports whatsoever, and I think this is something where I'll probably watch this, right? And this is something that I'll absolutely be able to relate to and understand what's going on because I'll have experienced some of that. And I think a lot of people who play World of Warcraft will maybe feel the same way. And it's nice to see that they're including World of Warcraft more into their esports rotation now.
I wonder if this does well, if they're going to do the same thing with Diablo, because it's a lot like Diablo, the way they do the I don't know the name of it, but just the same kind of thing really is running these Mythic Dungeons.
Yeah, but watching one person or 4 people do it on a PV scale where things are randomly generated is a little less exciting because randomness does actually take away from timed runs. This stuff, yeah, there's randomness and crits and stuff, but that's controllable randomness, not like some of the high-leveled combo affixes where you literally cheese it because you can't. You literally cannot defeat some of the affixes on Diablo bosses. So I don't know. This seems much more relatable and fun to watch. Frankly, I really think that there were a few moments recently with the new Mythic Plus scaling that I had to actually drop my my Frost Trap. Is it called Frost Trap? The one where the CC? I don't even know what it's called. Freezing? Okay, I'm sorry.
Freezing Trap, yeah.
Yeah, I actually had to drop my Freezing Trap a couple times in some of these dungeons, and it was during these Mythic Plus runs. It'll be interesting to see if people do that or if they just try to push through using gear, or cooldowns, or just to watch what they do. Bendak, I know you've done a few high level Mythic Pluses. Do you push farther than the requisite 10, or do you
15? You mean?
Or is it 15 now?
Yeah.
We can't get that high, so.
No, I don't really push past that. I just get the 15. Sometimes we'll do like a 14 and 2-chested, so we have to do 16, but nothing really beyond that.
What's the highest you think you'd be able to get?
On time? I don't know. It depends on the dungeon and the affixes. I mean, jeez, I don't know. I'd say realistically, maybe the group I usually run with, maybe we could, if it was favorable affixes, we could maybe do like a 18 or 19 or 20, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like it's going to be challenging.
And do you think we'll be seeing certain compositions, or I wonder, what kind of group makeup we'll see, or is there just too many different dungeons and things going on to really make a single composition that's just going to, have a clear edge over others?
I mean, I could definitely see hunters being included in a lot of these, only because you have an extra off tank in the case of skittish, or the misdirect pulls too. The misdirect really does help on some of those AOE pulls.
Yeah, I don't really pay much attention to the meta when it comes to the best compositions and stuff, but they did say for when you submit your 5 best runs, it has to be with the same 5 characters for all 5 runs, and then you have to stick with the same players. But I think you might be able to change your class once you get to the actual round of 32. But it's going to be on a tournament realm, so you have like preset eye level and all that.
Yeah, I wonder how that works. I've never really seen how those tournament realms work. I mean, are they gonna? So does that mean you're gonna have to sort of go with like the default UI? You're gonna be able to set up your own, use add-ons at all, or?
I think add-ons will be fine because it's all done remotely online. So it's just the tournament realms themselves are they're like a regular realm, just with
no people.
Yeah, Blizzard can control the affixes without affecting the affixes of a live realm.
Sure.
And also have like a vendor there that sells like all the gear you'd possibly want or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a dozen dungeons here, so I don't know if there's a way to, come up with sort of one perfect composition that would be perfect for all 12. I don't know. Be curious to see what people do, but I think it'll be fun. I mean, and like I said, I guess in order to make it interesting, it should be fast paced too. I mean, I guess that's the idea. This isn't going to be some long, drawn out thing. People are going to be pushing to get through this as fast as they can. So it should be somewhat fast paced, be a lot of energy to it. So that should make it entertaining to watch, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just coming up this week. They're doing some huge nerfs to Cathedral and Karazhan. And I'm pretty sure it's because of this dungeon tournament. Because they don't want 2 of the dungeons or 3 of the dungeons to just be ridiculously more hard than the rest.
I mean, they're still pretty rough. I don't know if you've done either Kara or Kath.
Yeah, I know they're rough, but have you seen the nerfs? They're coming tomorrow.
Those are tomorrow? I thought those were last. Or are you talking about the ones that are actually not listed?
No, they're listed, but they don't go live until tomorrow on Tuesday.
Oh, I thought these were hot fixes.
No, I think it said they go live with the resets.
Oh, okay. See, I thought they were in effect.
No,
that's my bad.
Yeah, well, we can go through some of these. Yeah, so the Dungeons and Raids, there was with Cathedral of Eternal Night, like Shadow Swipe damage dealt reduced by 50%. Throw Arcane Tome, throw Silence Tome, and throw Frost Tome damage decreased by 50% in Mythic difficulty.
There's just a bunch of all these. Look at some of these bosses. 90% reduced damage on all these abilities.
Yeah, Morose, Garrote, initial damage reduced by 90% in Mythic difficulty. Wow. Same with Mephistoth. Dark Solitude, initial damage reduced by 90% in Mythic difficulty.
Yeah, I think I heard on Maiden, you know how Sacred Ground, you have to stand in it to break the stun. Before this nerf, I think on 18 you get 1 shot. The Sacred Ground.
Right, so that's been reduced by 40%.
So yeah, maybe you can actually do the mechanic. But yeah, it's Blizzard going, hey, please play these.
But you're probably right, because that tournament, starts this week, starts on the 25th. So that lines up exactly for when that would be starting.
And it's funny because they've already nerfed these dungeons several times, and they have to keep doing it. But I think these nerfs will probably fix it, I would think.
Once and for all.
Yeah. Now when you get one of these keys, you just don't okay, what other keys do people have?
Yeah.
And let's see. So there was one other piece of news here for the Tier 21 set bonus changes for Beast Mastery. The Hunter 4 piece has changed to Kill Command, reducing the cooldown of Aspect of the Wild.
Right. So we talked about this last week and how horrible the old one was. It was so, I don't even remember. It was so bad. I don't even remember what it was, but it was really bad.
I'd have to look. All I remember was it was something to do with Kill Command.
Oh, it was Wild Call procs reduced the cooldown of Kill Command by 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we don't have to talk about that one anymore because it's gone. But this new one is kind of just like Convergence of Fates as a set bonus almost.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Convergence of the Fates. That was the trinket from Nighthold that. I don't know which abilities triggered it, but I mean, certain abilities.
All abilities did.
Was everything, yeah. So it reduced the cooldown of Aspect of the Wild. So you're right. So they just took that trinket proc and now putting it into your gear with Kill Command only.
Yeah, and they didn't say how many seconds it reduces yet, but I would assume it's just like 2 or 3 or something like that. But who knows? But I imagine if you combine this set bonus with Convergence of Fates with Call of the Wild bracers, your uptime and Aspect of the Wild, it's going to be insane.
I wonder if they'll do something about that. Or if they they figure no one's gonna, maybe it won't be ideal to do that or it might be fun to do that, but maybe that won't be a reasonable build. I don't know.
Aspect of the Wild is if you can use it with every Bestial Wrath, it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Especially for AoE. I can see that being a nice combination for dungeons.
And it's still
pretty much every pack you would have it up.
Well, it's still early, so maybe they'll change it, but at least it's better than it was before. They're actually starting to put real set bonuses in there now. And then no sense of when this would actually, when they're getting ready to go live with 7.3. But the 7.2 was out there for a few months, so I suspect this will be too. And then was there a change to marksmanship here, or is it just a tooltip change?
Not really. They just swapped the 2-piece and 4-piece.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them do that. Sometimes they'll do that before. Yeah. Especially if the 2-piece looks really good. Sometimes they'll do that, especially if it looks better than the 4-piece, because you always kind of want the 4-piece to be better, or at least feel better than the 2-piece, since you have to work a little bit harder to get it.
Yeah.
So other than that, I don't know any other news going around. At some point, I think it'd be good to do like a sort of a Legion review and just sort of maybe walk through all the changes that have happened and kind of give our thoughts on whether it's been good or bad for hunters. But I haven't had time to put something like that together. But other than that, we're just sort of continuing to progress through Tomb of Sargeras. And we're fine. At least our guild's finally solidly doing the heroic bosses now, and that's going so far so good. A little bit easier than I suspected it would. So we're working on Sisters of the Moon. I think we'll probably get over that hump this week and move on to some of the other bosses from there.
I guess it's worth mentioning, right now it's kind of going around, around hunters, that Aspects of the Beast is becoming a viable talent, for at least if you play the Stomp build. Surprisingly, it's just one of those talents, it was kind of crappy at the start of the expansion, so you kind of just always ignored it. But then you take a look at it and it's well, wait a minute, it's actually doing a lot of damage, and all the Cobra shots you get to cast in lieu of all those kill commands, when your Titan Strike is really high level, it's actually good damage.
So is this based on your just the overall item level at this point that's driving this? What's driving this change that's making Aspect of the Beast a good option?
I think it's more of the eye level of your weapon. Just because it's Cobra Shot's the only ability that really scales off of your weapon damage.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's I mean it's not necessarily better than Killer Cobra. It's just like an option if you want, like especially if it's a fight that has like cleave components, because when you're multi-shotting, you can't use Killer Cobra. But with Aspect of the Beast, you just have to use
Mhm.
your kill command every 6 seconds, and you get the benefit of it. So I mean, yeah, it's worth trying. I think I wouldn't get too used to it though because of that new set bonus we just talked about for the next tier, because
Right.
you're gonna want to cast those extra kill commands with
Sure.
Killer Cobra. So
Which makes sense. Is there a sort of a threshold, certain item level that makes this worth looking at?
I'd say anything above 930 on your Titan Strike, it's probably gonna be up there with Killer Cobra.
Mm-hmm.
This is just with the Stomp build too. So if you're using Dire Frenzy, it's not really a good idea.
See, this is what I like about Beast Mastery is that there's, I think they've done a good job with giving us, and whether I don't know how intentional it was, but with it's just sort of worked out where there's options to do different things with your talents based off your legendaries and so forth. I don't know that that marksmanship quite has that same sort of flexibility built into it.
Yeah, another thing for this build too is the legendary boots are really nice for it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones when you cast Dire Beast, it reduces the kill command cooldown by 3 seconds. So
yeah, and I've got those boots, but again, like I said, I keep being told to wear the legs and the shoulders. I keep trying to get the belt, so hopefully I'll get that to drop, but that'll probably settle a lot of issues. Although I have a nice belt, I have a 925, so I'd hate to have to give that up.
it's not surprising to me that your legs are being one of your best legendaries, just because you don't have the 3 set bonuses yet. Once you get the 3 set bonuses, you kind of look at like Pride as the belt, anything that's not in a tier slot.
Right.
All the rings, they're all good. Even Cephas is good.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll start getting some of the tier gear. So, like we said, we use EPGP, and we reset it for Tomb of Sargeras, and for whatever reason, I haven't had good luck. So, or I've gotten a few pieces here or there. I just seem to be at the bottom, perpetually at the bottom right now. Whereas the Nighthold, I was perpetually on the top, which was nice. It was weird. He was like, oh, get a piece, and I wouldn't really drop all that low. And now I just seem to be stuck on the bottom. So waiting for everybody else to get their pieces, and then I can start getting mine. But I think we have a lot of shared tokens in our group, which doesn't help. Like a couple shaman, a monk, 2 hunters, warrior. So all of us are. So in some ways it's good because there's a good, we usually see a decent number of protector drops, but still there's a lot of people competing for that. So, well, if we don't have anything else to talk about, we can maybe just wrap this one up a little short and have more of like a 45-minute show than an hour show this week, and then we'll just come back. Hopefully Delirium will be back from, I think he's on vacation or something, and hear about what he's up to and come up and see what other news and things. So I guess we'll be curious to see. Well, I guess maybe that tournament will have happened. It'll be interesting to have watched that, and just, if nothing else, see how well hunters were represented in that Mythic in the Mythic tournament. Love to see them have a good showing.
Well, I was listening to a podcast this morning, and they were talking about hunters, and the topic got around to our hunter hall in comparison with some of the other ones. Like some of them are very lore heavy, or have like a very strong story that propels Legion forward and stuff, like the priests and the paladins and death knights. and ours is just kind of, well, you guys know what it is.
Mhm.
And so they were thinking things like, well, the other people have got like these legendary groups that have existed in the game for years and years and years, and we've got a group that literally you've never heard of, and like, so they were just sort of like, well, what if it had been like Hemet Nessingwary was our leader, or some other, not Sylvanas because she's taken, but some other famous hunter, and Hemet was the one that they came to mind, but and just kind of like maybe built some more Hemet lore
Mhm.
so that he wasn't just such a nut kind of. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys ever think about anything like that. I thought it was interesting though.
I haven't thought about too much of that. I don't know. I just pop into the Hunter Hall, and every time I go to the hall, all I really think about is why is there no mailbox here? That's honestly. Why do I have to go to Dalaran to check
Because
by
we are all
mail?
engineers. That's why. There was a time when we all were.
Yeah, I dropped
I'm
it.
still.
Are you still engineer? I might pick it back up. I picked up herbalism and alchemy this time around, but now we're using cauldrons every week, so I really don't need to make my own flasks and stuff like that. So maybe I'll switch into back to engineering because it's fun. I miss it.
I think there's a new engineering item coming in 7.3. It's like something you attach to your boots, and it like reduces your fall damage or something like that. So that'll be cool.
And we don't need that. We have the Wolf Hawks.
We do have the wolf hawk.
That's what disengage is for.
That too.
And we have disengage too. Yes, I love my disengage. Although sometimes it screws me up. It's fresh, especially in the Kill Jaden fight. I'll just get turned around just enough, going for like a big Armageddon or something. And it's just like, ugh. Every once in a while I'll miss it. I'll go off in the odd direction and be a little bit slow to get to where I need to be. Which is annoying because with the 3-minute cooldown on Turtle, I usually only have to cover one big one, so it's not, it's like I literally have one job. I screw it up half the time with a poorly timed disengage. And usually the one I have to cover too is the one where Armageddon drops and then the ball comes like a second after. And I don't know if it's just this, maybe as our group gets better, we'll avoid that particular, we'll reduce the number of Armageddons and things that we have to deal with. But this particular one seems to be the most problematic, where Armageddon will hit and then that ball will drop like a second or two afterwards. So you'll be running to where you need to go, and then boom, you get knocked back. Not necessarily off the platform, but you just get knocked back and then you're in trouble.
Yeah, I've done it a few times where I messed up, but I managed to disengage back on after I was going to get launched off. So that's always handy to have.
I think they nerfed the track humanoids too.
Oh, really?
I thought someone mentioned that last week. I didn't quite notice it, but I don't have to check again this week to see if that was nerfed on the Kill Jaden fight, so that you could no longer find Illidan with that.
Well, the last time I did it was on Thursday, and it worked.
Oh, did it? Okay, so maybe it was mistaken.
Maybe he counts as a demon these days, not a human.
I know there have been times where it's worked, but I've sort of like the NPC is what I end up seeing. The one that's sort of standing outside by the bridge is what sometimes shows up on my mini map. I've had that happen before. I'll go running towards it like, oh, that's not him.
Oh yeah, I zoom in my map before the fight starts, just so it covers the encounter area.
Oh.
So I've done that before too, where when it's zoomed out and I kind of I lose track of scale and I just ran right off the platform.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll have to remember that to zoom in with the mini map there, and that ought to do it. So I'll check it out this week because I'm sure we'll go after him at least in normal. If not, I don't think we'll get to him in heroic, but we're making progress. but that's a handy little thing to have. I like when we hunters get to do something cool like that. All right, well, I don't know. I think that's it. I think why don't we call this one a show? We're almost up to an hour, and I'll just say that you have been listening to episode 262 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
All right, check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader, and these links are all available in our show notes. And if you have a question or topic for the show and you'd like us to read it on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet to @huntingpartypod. All right, and stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
Dark Lady, watch over you.
Cool.
Synth, say something.
Something.
Yeah, you should have an outro at this point. We should all just have an outro at this point.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, boss slayer, I rock out with my lockout I'm a hunter, Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. EM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top the meters every fight. Rated and cave dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malagos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Yogg-Saron, Thorian, Sartharian, Magtheridon, Sapuron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archivon,